with the anger. What works very well is if you do an inventory of when you think that anger comes up, just a chronological inventory, and then the triggers. Because if we identify the triggers, we can work against the triggers. If we don't identify the enemy, if we don't know where the bullets are coming from, it's like all of a sudden it started, okay, it's cool. We sit down and we see, the bullets are coming from there and not from there. So we can focus our attention on where the enemy is coming. What is causing us to take cover, light up a smoke, get a drink, or our angry response to something, because it's just a behavior. It's a reaction. It's a physical and natural reaction. Once we've identified that, we can start thinking about alternative actions. So, okay, I can hit him in the face. Sure, which is what I would usually do. But instead of breaking his nose, what I can do is I can kick him in his shin. We can try to change, modify our reaction, turn it into a deliberate response where we decide, how do I respond? I can respond with a punch in his face. I can respond with a back of my head, whatever. But I have to know when and why. Once I find out the when, I can work on the why. Because through that scenario, imagine it's like when you walk patrol and you get ambushed and you get out and you come back. If we don't think about where was the ambush, where did the bullets come from and all that, next time we run into the same ambush, we won't be prepared. And that's what happens. So if we identify when, what situations, when does that happen, we can start finding a pattern. Once we find the pattern, we can work on, okay, it happens Mondays at 8 o'clock, for example. We can focus on what happens Mondays at 8 o'clock. Is it because the mailman is ringing the bell at my neighbor's house and it wakes me up half an hour earlier? We have to find out what happens when that happens. And then we can say, okay, we can pinpoint why. And once we have that why, we can say, okay, so what I'm going to do is Monday at 8 o'clock, instead of yelling, I'm just going to wait 5 seconds or count 10 or count 20 before I start screaming. And probably what I'll do is after counting 10 or 20, I won't need to shout. It's like immediate action. What do you do when you're in a hostile situation and the bullets start flying around? First thing is cover, look from where it's coming from. When we got ambushed, it's ambush left, everybody turns left and you empty a mag. That's it. You don't think about it. You just do it. And that's what we try to do with those programmed reactions or programmed responses, either to our anger or to our use, abuse, whatever. We have to try to interrupt, to break the first impulse. And then once we get that, we can think about other alternatives, other things, and then we look for things that would be better for us instead of doing that. It works with anger. It works with sex, sport, whatever. It always works. But the first thing we have to do is we have to identify, when does it happen? That means inventory, bum, bum, bum. You write it down in a notebook on your phone or whatever, and then you start checking. Imagine like planning a trip. If you want to go to the jungle and it's, let's say, Panama I have to think, I've been a couple of times in Panama while I was in the military. It's at 12 o'clock midday, it would rain. And if you know that at 12 o'clock it rains, you prepare for it. You can't stop the rain from falling, but you can take an umbrella or you can stay inside until it's over. That's how we work with anger and also any kind of bad habit. It doesn't matter what the habit is. It's like smoking a cigarette or putting the finger up your nose.